Welcome to Educon. This is Imam with you. In this section, we'll learn about bryophytes. What are bryophytes? Bryophytes includes the various mosses and liverworts that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas in the hills. And we have 4 examples out here. Okay, and the upper 2 images belongs to liverworts, whereas the bottom 2, that is CD, they belongs to mosses. And you can see structurally they are similar, that is liverworts. In A and B we have 2 the images belongs to liverworts. One is female and there is a male plant, and both have their rhizoids, gemma cup and also callus. And in the bottom section we have mosses, where the plant is differentiated into gametophyte and sporophyte, and we do have rhizoids along with main axis, and the sporophyte, which contains theta and capsule. That is the first, the C, it is a funaria, the example for funaria. And we have another image in D, it is example for sphagnum, it is completely gametophyte. Coming to bryophytes. Bryophytes are called amphibians of plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. See, listen, bryophytes are amphibians. So this is the most important line, amphibians of the plant kingdom, and they need water for sexual reproduction. How sexual reproduction occurs, that we'll learn in the following sentence. They usually occur in damp, humid and shaded localities, and also they play an important role in plant succession on bare rocks or soil. What is plant succession on bare rock? The growth of plant, because these plants they decompose rocks. When it decomposes rock, it provides a medium for the larger, higher plants to grow on. Plant body of bryophytes is more differentiated than that of algae. It is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. Rhizoids, we saw that in the image. They lack true roots, stem or leaves. They don't have any kind of roots, means true roots. Okay, and they may possess root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structures. They may possess, which is like root, like leaf or stem-like structure. The main plant body of bryophyte is haploid. It produces gametes, hence is also called as gametophyte. So main plant body is haploid, which produces a gametes, hence called as gametophyte. The sex organs in bryophytes are multicellular, whereas the male sex organ is called antheridium, which produces biflagellate antherozoids. So this is important line, you need to underline this complete line. Whereas the female sex organ is called as archegonium, which is a flask-shaped structure and produces a single egg. Here the antherozoids during sexual reproduction are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium. So here the water plays an important role in sexual reproduction. The antherozoids are released into water. So here how they come in contact with the archegonium. An antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce the zygote. Zygotes do not undergo reduction division immediately. Generally, we saw zygote will undergo reduction division, but here it doesn't. It will not happen immediately. They produce a multicellular body called a sporophyte. This sporophyte is not free living, but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. So zygote do not undergo reduction division, and which produces into a multicellular body called sporophyte. And this sporophyte is not free living, so it is attached to photosynthetic gametophyte. What is this photosynthetic gametophyte? Which derives its energy with the help of photosynthesis and derives nourishment from it. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction division, that is meiosis, to produce haploid spores. Some cells, not all. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. Okay? How the spores germinate into the gametophyte. Now we have seen how exactly the sexual reproduction occurs in bryophytes. Bryophytes in general are of little economic importance, but some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds, and other animals. They are generally there is no any much use of these bryophytes, but they provide food for different animals, that mostly mammals, birds, and also some other animals. Species of sphagnum, a moss, provide peat that have long been used as fuel and as packing material for transshipment of living material because of their capacity to hold water. Peat, we must have heard about this word peat. Okay, it is not rock. It is some decomposed form of the plant. So here, what happened? This peat, which is a moss actually, it's been used as a fuel for a long time and also as a packing material when you ship for long distance, because it holds water. Mosses along with lichens are the first organisms to colonize rocks and hence are of great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. I told you earlier that these plants, they have capacity to decompose rocks, which makes the suitable for the higher plants to grow on them. Since mosses form dense mats on soil, they also reduce the impact of falling rain and prevents soil erosion. What happens when it continuously rains? The water flows. So along with that, the soil also erodes slowly. So these mosses, they prevent soil erosion by forming a dense mat on the surface of the soil. Understand? The bryophytes are divided into liverworts and mosses. Coming to liverworts, liverworts grow usually in moist, shady habitats such as banks of streams, marshy ground, damp soil, bark of trees, and deep in the woods. So these are all the places where these liverworts usually grow. The plant body of a liverwort is thalloid. Example, Mercantia. The thallus is dorsiventral and closely oppressed to the substrate. The leafy members have tiny leaf-like appendages in two rows on the stem-like structures. Okay. Asexual reproduction in liverworts takes place by fragmentation of thalli or by the formation of specialized structure called gemmae. Gemmae are green multicellular asexual buds which develop into small receptacles called gemma cups located on thalli. So asexual reproduction in liverworts takes place by fragmentation of thalli. Now thallus. The gemmae become detached from the parent body and germinate to form new individual. What are gemmae? They are present. They are specialized structure which are present in thallus. These are green multicellular asexual buds which develop into small receptacles called gemma cups, which is located located on the thallus. During sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs during sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced either on the same plant or different plant, like same thallus or different thallus. So it may, for example, the same, like male and female, the sex organs, sometimes they grow on the same thallus or different thallus of the same plant. The sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta, and capsule. Earlier I show you what is this, what is the structure of the plant and what are the parts associated with the plant. The sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta, and capsule. After meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule. Okay? After meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule. This is important. These spores germinate to form free living gametophytes. Coming to meiosis, the predominant stage of life cycle of a moss is the gametophyte, which consists of two stages. The first stage is the protonema stage, which develops directly from the spore. Okay? Here, the life cycle of moss consists of two stages. First stage is the protonema stage, which develops directly from the spore. It is creeping, green, branched, and frequently filamentous stage. Okay, this is the stage. The protonema stage is creeping, green, branch, and frequently filamentous stage. This is important. Okay. The second stage is the leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. Second stage is the leafy stage. The earlier stage is filamentous stage. So second stage is the leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. They consist of upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through multicellular and branch rhizoids. This stage bears the sex organ. This stage, the leafy stage, that is the second stage. Vegetative reproduction in mosses is by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. Okay? Vegetative reproduction, that is, which is not sexual reproduction, which is by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. In sexual reproduction, the sex organs, antheridia and archegonia, are produced at the apex of the leafy shoots. Apex means at the end of the leafy shoots. After fertilization, the zygote develops into sporophyte consisting of foot, seta, and capsule. The sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate than that in liverworts. Means it is more elaborative than the liverworts. The capsule contains spores. Okay, the capsule itself contains the spores. Spores are formed after meiosis. The mosses have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal, and common examples for mosses are Funaria, Polytrichum, and Sphagnum. Okay, all these three are examples for mosses. So in mosses we have two stages: protonema stage, second stage is the leafy stage. Okay, and also sexual reproduction involves the sex organs antheridia and archegonia, which are present at the apex of the leafy shoot. This is also important. In this section, we'll start learning about pteridophytes. The pteridophytes includes horsetail and ferns. Pteridophytes are used for medicinal purposes and as soil binders. Their main use is for medical and also as soil binders. They are also frequently grown as ornamentals. Evolutionary, they are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues. What are the vascular tissues? Xylem and phloem. So these are the pteridophytes are the plants which are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues, that are xylem and phloem. We will study more about this in the structure of xylem and phloem in chapter 6. The pteridophytes are found in cool, damp, shady places, though some may flourish well in sandy soil conditions. You may recall that in bryophytes, the dominant phase in the life cycle is the gametophytic plant body, whereas in pteridophytes, the main plant body is sporophyte. This is very important differences between the bryophytes and pteridophytes, where the gametophytic is the main dominant phase of the life cycle of the is the gametophytic plant body, whereas in pteridophyte it is sporophyte. Pteridophytes, the main plant body is sporophyte, which is differentiated into true root, stem, and leaves, where we don't have these true root, stems, or leaves in bryophytes. These organs possess well differentiated vascular tissues. The leaves in Pteridophyta are small microphyls as in Selaginella, or large microphyls as in forms. So both there are two types of like small and large. Small you'll find in microphyll small is called as microphyls, which is found in Selaginella, or the large one, which is called as macrophyls, are found in ferns. The sporophyte bears sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. The sporophytes bear sporangia. Sporangia was bear by sporophytes bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. In some cases, sporophylls may form distinct compact structures called strobili or cones that we'll see in the next section. The sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cells. The spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous, small but multicellular, free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophytes called prothallus. Inconspicuous means not clearly. These gametophytes require cool, damp, shady places to grow. Because of the specific restricted requirement and the need for water for fertilization, the spread of living pteridophytes is limited and restricted to narrow geographical region because they need cool, damp, shady places. So their presence throughout the world is restricted only to certain geographical areas. The gametophytes bear male and female sex organs called antheridia and archegonia. So these two are the sex organs in pteridophytes. Water is required for transfer of antherozoids. The male gametes released from the antheridia to the mouth of archegonium. That is, the antherozoids reach the mouth of the archegonium, which is the female sex organ. Fusion of the male gamete with the egg present in the archegonium result in the formation of zygote. Zygote thereafter produces a multicellular, well-differentiated sporophyte, which is the dominant phase of the pteridophytes. Okay, this is the sporophyte, is the dominant stage of the pteridophytes. In majority of the pteridophytes, all the spores are of similar kinds. Such plants are called homosporous. In homosporous plants, what happens? Their spores are of similar kinds. Genera like Selaginella and Salvania, which produce two different spores, that is, some may be large and some small, micro. So macro and microspores. They are known as heterosporous. So heterosporous plants are Selaginella and Salvini. So these two, these four lines are very important. The megaspores and microspores germinate and give rise to female and male gametophytes, respectively. The female gametophyte in these plants are retained in the parent sporophytes for variable periods. The development of the zygotes into young embryos take place within the female gametophyte. This event is a precursor to the seed habit, considered an important step in evolution. So what we learn here, certain plants they have the same kind of spores which are called homosporous. Certain plants like Selaginella and Salvinia, they produce two kinds of spores, that is macro, which are large, and micro, which are small. They are called heterosporous plants. The megaspores and microspores germinate, give rise to female. The megaspore is the female, and the microspores are they give rise to male gametophytes, respectively. The female gametophytes in these plants are retained on the parent sporophytes for variable periods. That is the time period for certain amount of time. The development of zygotes in young embryos takes place within the female gametophytes, and this event is a precursor to the seed habit, considered an important step in evolution. The pteridophytes are further classified into four classes: Psilopsida, example you can take Psilotum; Lycopsida, that is Selaginella, Lycopodium; and Phenopsida, that is Equisetum, that is an example, and Pteropsida, which are Bryophytes, Pteris, Adiantum. So all these are the examples for Pteridophytes. Coming to Gymnosperms. The Gymnosperms are plants in which ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed both before and after fertilization. Okay, this is the main concept in Gymnosperm. So what here the meaning of the Gymnosperm is mentioned. Gymnos means naked, sperma means seeds. So in these plants the ovules are not enclosed, they are not covered by any kind of ovary wall and remain exposed both before and after fertilization. The seeds that develop post fertilizations are not covered or naked. That is, before and after fertilization there is no any covering around the seed. Gymnosperms include medium-sized trees or tall trees and shrubs. Gymnosperms include all kind of trees like small, large, medium trees. One of the gymnosperms, the giant redwood tree, that is sequoia, is one of the tallest tree species. So it belongs to this sequoia belongs to gymnosperm category. Okay, this is the important line to remember here, and the first few lines are most important. The roots are generally tap roots. Roots in some genera have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza, that is pinus, which in some others, cycos, like small specialized roots called coralloid roots, are associated with the into nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. So this example you should remember here. Which of the following plants nitrogen fixing occurs? Okay, this is the cycos. Okay, this we need to remember, and we have some fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza, that is symbiotic. Symbiosis means some fungal species are associated with the root of this plant, that is pinus. Okay, these two are the important. The stems are unbranched, example cycos, or branched, example pinus, cetrus. The leaves may be simple or compound. In cycos, the pinnate leaves persist for a few years. The leaves in gymnosperms are well adapted to withstand extremes of temperature. Means the leaves in gymnosperm, they are well adapted, means they are suited themselves to the extreme conditions surrounding it, such as temperature, humidity, and also wind. In conifers, the needle-like leaves reduce the surface area. For example, if the leaf is large shape, like flat, then the surface area will be higher. If it is needle-like, then it reduces the surface area. So in needle-like leaves reduce the surface area. Their thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help to reduce water loss. So how they are reducing the water loss? By having this thick cuticle and sunken stomata. Stomata, that to which transpiration occurs. The gymnosperms are heterosporous. They produce haploid microspores and megaspores. The two kinds of spores are produced within sporangia that are borne on sporophylls, which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lax or compact strobili or cones. Okay, there are two kinds of spores, that is gymnosperms, they are heterosporous. They produce haploid microspores and megaspores also. The two kinds of spores are produced within sporangia. Okay, two kinds of spores that are borne on sporophylls, which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lax or compact strobili or cones. So, to their gymnosperms are heterospore, this is most important line, and produce haploid microspores and megaspores, and they are produced within sporangia. Don't forget this, you need to remember this. The strobili or cones bearing microsporophylls and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. Okay, the strobili bearing microsporophylls and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. The microspores develop into male gametophytic generation, which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called a pollen grain. What is a pollen grain? Where the microscope develop into a male gametophytic generation, which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called pollen grain. The development of pollen grains take place within the sporangia. So all this development occurs within microsporangia. The cones bearing megasporosphere with ovules or megasporangia are called macrosporangiate or female strobili. The male or female cones or strobili may be born on the same tree like pinus. In pinus, the male and female cones are present on the same tree. However, in cycas, male cones and megasporophylls are born on different trees. Okay? So in cycas, it is in different trees. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cells of the nucellus. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cell of the nucellus. The nucellus is protected by envelopes and the composite structure is called ovule. And the ovules are born on megasporophylls. Okay, the ovules are born on megasporophylls, which may be clustered to form the female cones. The megaspore mother cell divides meiotically to form 4 megaspores. One of the megaspores enclosed within the megasporangium develops into a multicellular female gametophyte that bear 2 or more archegonia or female sex organs. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within megasporangium. Everything occurs inside in the sporangium. Unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, in gymnosperms, the male and female gametophytes do not have an independent free living existence. They remain within the sporangia, retained on the sporophytes. The pollen grain is released from the microsporangium. They are carried in air currents and come in contact with the opening of the ovules born on megasporophylls. Okay? The pollen tube carrying the male gametes grow towards the archegonia in the ovules and discharge their content near the mouth of archegonia. Following fertilization, zygote develops into an embryo and the ovules into seed. So zygote develops into an embryo and the ovules in the seeds. These seeds are not covered. Okay. So we have examples here. We have 3 plants here. The A is cycas. The top one is at cycas. The B is the pinus and the C is ginkgo. Welcome to Educon. This is the Imam with you. In this video, we will learn about angiosperms. Unlike gymnosperms, where the ovules are naked, in angiosperms or flowering plants, the pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures called flowers. In angiosperms, the seeds are enclosed in fruits. The angiosperms are an exceptionally large group of plants occurring in a wide range of habitats. So here, the difference between the gymnosperms and angiosperms is in angiosperms, there is a specialized structures called flower, whereas in gymnosperms, the ovules are naked. And in angiosperms, exceptionally large group of plants occurring in wide range of habitats. They range in size from smallest wolfia to tall trees, that is eucalyptus, which grows over 100 meters in length. They provide us food, water, fuel, medicines, and several other commercially important products. And they are divided into 2 classes, dicotyledons and the monocotyledons. The dicotyledons are characterized by seeds having 2 cotyledons, reticulate venations in leaves, and tetramerous or pentamerous flowers. that is having 4 or 5 members in each floral whorls. The monocotyledons, on the other hand, are characterized by single cotyledonous seeds, parallel venation in leaves, and trimerous flowers having 3 members in each floral whorl. So the difference you need to observe carefully here. In dicotyledons, they are characterized by seeds having 2 cotyledons, 2 number of cotyledons, reticulate venations in leaves, and tetramerous or pentamerous flowers. Coming to monocotyledons, we have a single cotyledonous seed, parallel venation, and trimerous seed, tetramerous, pentamerous in dicotyledon, whereas monocotyledon we have a trimerous flowers having 3 members in each floral whorls. The male sex organ in a flower is the stamen. Okay? The male sex organ in flower is the stamen. Each stamen consists of a slender filament with an anther at the tip. You might have seen in some flowers, when you open the flower, you will find this stamen along with the stick. Okay. Within the anthers, the pollen mother cell divides by meiosis to produce microspores, which matures into pollen grains. Okay. The female sex organ in a flower is the pistil. Pistil consists of a swollen ovary at its base, a long slender style and stigma. Okay, a pistil consists of swollen ovary at its base, a long slender style and a stigma. So all these three the pistil consists of. Inside the ovary, ovules are present. Generally, each ovule has a megaspore mother cell that undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores. In each ovule, that is, the megaspore mother cell that undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores. 3 of them degenerate and 1 divide to form the embryo sac. So, out of 4, 3 will get disintegrated and the 1 will divide to form an embryo sac. Each embryo sac has 3 cell egg apparatus, 1 cell and 2 synergids, 3 antipodal cells and 2 polar nuclei. So remember this, 3 of them degenerate, 1 divide to form embryo sac. Okay, and each embryo sac has 3 celled egg apparatus. 3 cell egg. One is egg cell, the 2 synergids, 3 antipodal cells and 2 polar nuclei. Okay, and you see the difference in the difference in the plants, that is angiosperms in the figure 3.5. A is dicotyledonous plant on the A, and B it is a monocotyledon. The polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a diploid secondary nucleus. Pollen grains after dispersal from the anthers are carried by wind or various other agencies to the stigma of the pistil. This is termed as pollination. Pollination is carrying of pollen to the stigma of the pistil through wind or various other sources. The pollen grains germinate on the stigma and the resulting pollen tubes grow through the tissues of stigma and style and reach the ovule. The pollen grains germinate on the stigma, okay, and the resulting pollen tube grow through the tissues of stigma and style and reach the ovule. The pollen tubes enter the embryo sac where 2 male gametes are discharged. So two male gametes are discharged from the pollen tube. One of the male gametes fuses with the egg cell, syngamy, to form a zygote. The other male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to produce the triploid primary endosperm nucleus. That is called PEN. PEN. That is primary endosperm nucleus. Because of the occurrence of 2 fusions, that is syngamy and triple fusion, this event is termed as double fertilization. So in double fertilization, you need to remember all these 4 points, which is very important. The zygote develops into an embryo with 1 or 2 cotyledons, and the pen develops into endosperm, which provides nourishment to the developing embryo. The synergids and the antipodals degenerate after fertilization. During these events, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovaries develop into fruits. Okay. Now, how you know the sequence, how exactly this process is occurring in angiosperms. The life cycle of an angiosperm is shown in figure 3.6. Let's see the cycle over here. Okay. Now see. So this is the sporophyte. Okay. And we have a flowers here. Okay. Flowers, they have a stigma and anther. Okay. And here it gives rise to microsporangia, then microspores. Okay. Then finally microspore, that is pollen grain. And then male gametophyte, which carries 2 male gametes, and it goes into the egg forming a zygote, then embryo here. Okay, then finally again the plant from the embryo, and here we have a ovary, then megaspore, that is megaspore mother cell. Inside that the egg is formed, egg is released. Okay, this is the simple cycle. Okay, and you have to remember the sequences here. These sequences are also very important when you are learning. Most of us, we never look at the images in the NCERT book. We need to have a proper look at the diagrams and images in the NCERT book, because sometimes questions directly come like in the form of sequence. Okay,